Good evening, friends, and welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. We are both retired NYPD detectives and 9/11 first responders, World Trade Center. If you like all things true crime related from the police detective's perspective, consider hitting the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you'll get all things DutyRon and this guy over here, Ed Wallace, when we go live or upload another video. Hey, tonight we want to talk to you about the search for Harmony Montgomery post-verdict. Adam Montgomery was found guilty of all charges on Thursday. We covered it live, Ed and I was at the office. Ed was home, and we covered it live, but we didn't give you our post-verdict reaction. So we'll do that tonight. But before we get into it, I want to just say, Ed and I wanted to say thank you to our Patreon supporters, the channel members, the moderators, the replay viewers, and everybody who positively engages in this community, in this chat. You guys are what makes it a great place, and we give thanks and praise to each and every one of you guys. You guys are truly what makes this a great place to be, and we are thankful for that. Ed, how you doing on this Saturday night? We usually don't go live on Saturday nights. We keep it to the spouses or, family time, but today, this weekend was kind of off. I had a wedding on Friday yesterday, and so it kind of threw us off a little bit. How you doing tonight, Ed?
Doing good, doing good. Happy to be here. Happy to be here with our true crime family to share some insights here with the Harmony Renee case.
Harmony Renee, as per her mom, she's no longer a Montgomery in her eyes. And, we have a lot to unpack here tonight because the mom is filed with an attorney for a lawsuit, I believe, against the state of New Hampshire, state of Massachusetts. She has to go through a legal process first because her parental rights were not stripped from her, but the custody was given by a Massachusetts judge, as we know, to the monster, Adam Montgomery. And she, I believe, under the legal, under her legal rights, I believe that she'll be able to do that. A couple people in the chat are saying congratulations on hitting 250,000 subscribers, 250,000. That's no chump change. And yes, we thank you guys for subscribing. Let's keep sharing this community to your friends, your families, your social media contacts. And it's because of great people like you we're in this position. So Ed and I, again, are thankful for all of you guys. And we're humbled that you took the opportunity to subscribe. Hitting that subscribe button is free. But let's get into the topic at hand. The search, as we heard from the prosecutor, and it was music. It was music to our ears. We heard him give a press conference right after that guilty verdict was read outside of the courtroom, in the hallway outside the courtroom. And he said, we are going to continue to now search for Harmony Montgomery. Ed, how surprised were you when you heard that?
I loved it. I loved it. It's showing, that police department has done everything for this child and still continues to do for this child, vowing to find this child. And I just was so impressed with the way he handled himself.
Yeah, Police Chief Oldenburg, Alan, what a great human being. It shows the personal side of the police, and also it shows the dedication of the team partnership between police and the prosecution. A lot of times people think that there's friction, but there really isn't. We kind of work as a cohesive team to bring these cases forward, to collect the evidence out in the field as the detectives' jobs, and the prosecutors package it up and they present it to the court, and a jury of the defendant's peers looks over the case, and they found beyond a reasonable doubt. And there was a lot of people that were on the fence, weren't sure if the state proved their case, but I was really confident that they came up with really compelling, not only evidence, but also witnesses, and there was a lot of them. So, but yeah, it was a great case, and we're going to listen quickly to an overview now, and we'll be right back with you guys.
The Rumney Marsh Reservation sits along Route 107 in Saugus and runs through the city of Revere. It was the site of a heavy police search last spring and is once again being named as a high interest point in the search for Harmony Montgomery's remains.
Adam Montgomery was from the Revere area. You would know it very well.
Prosecutors say Adam Montgomery borrowed a U-Haul in the spring of 2020 to get rid of his daughter's body. That van was spotted on a toll camera on the Tobin Bridge in Boston.
And we know that he went through no New Hampshire tolls. So what that means is that she is somewhere along that route.
The 26-mile radius around the route from Manchester to Boston is about 1,500 square miles and will require significant resources to search, says law enforcement expert Richard Mello.
That will include cadaver sniffing dogs that can smell the scent of human remains, radar and sonar that may look underground to see if there's any disturbances in the soil.
Mello says human remains, even years after death, can provide some answers.
If they're fortunate enough to be able to find her and bring her home, DNA technology will be a central part of any further investigation.
And so we reached out to the Attorney General's office to see if it received any new tips since it made this information public, but we were told there are no new updates to provide at this point. Reporting in.
So I wanted to go to our expert, Ed Wallace. I reached out to Dave Rader from EquiSearch Midwest, and, I had a quick conversation because he was in the middle of digging with backhoes over in Ohio for a missing person. So he had heavy machinery. He took my call. He had a break in the action. He took my call, and then he called me back. I said, "Oh, just go, go, go." He called me back, and of course, I always present to him, Ed, like, hey, on the Harmony Montgomery case, if the Manchester Police Department was to reach out to EquiSearch in Texas, or obviously he's right in Ohio, EquiSearch Midwest, would you join in on the search? He said, abso-freaking-lutely. If they asked us to come and give them a hand, we would be glad to do that. But as we know, EquiSearch doesn't insert themselves into searches. So we hear here in this piece, this is from WMUR, a local station, Ed, that they are going to continue that search. As a crime scene and CSI expert investigator, you processed over 2,700 crime scenes. You've done a lot of this type of work. When you have the challenges of 5 years in the past, a small little body, as we heard, and I hate to go into this, so trigger warning, folks. Adam Montgomery, it's by Kayla Montgomery's own admissions. He, compressed little Harmony's body. They cut the clothing off of her in the bathroom. They took her from place to place, and so much time has elapsed. Ed, could you talk to our audience about the challenges of even finding Harmony Montgomery and what type of condition we'll be looking at here?
Well, never say never. All right. There have been many cases. Gilgo Beach, for example, the Lisk, a Long Island serial killer. I mean, look at the time frame of those bodies and how long they were out there, and yet they were found. I had a case in Staten Island, Tommy Karate, mafia hitman, chopped up bodies, 10, 15 years old. We found them out here in an area that used to be wooded that was going to be developed into a strip mall. So never say never. Now, having said that, the body, given what he's done, he put the body in plastic and then into the CNC bag and the lime on top of the body. Now, I don't think he dismembered her because there was no evidence of tools being used or no testimony of any tools. I know there was talk about him going to purchase a saw, but we don't hear anything about that in the case, all right, in the trial. Now, he would have had to have disarticulated a lot of the joints, the knees, the hips, shoulders, elbows, in order to be able to manipulate poor Harmony's body. So trigger alert, and to put it into that small bag. Okay. Everybody thinks lime. expedites decomposition. It does not. Okay, it actually kind of preserves it. But given the number of years we're dealing with and the number of seasons and potentially in a marshy area. Now, let's be quite honest. We don't know exactly where he deposited this body. Anywhere along that route, he could have pulled over and went to a dumpster or a garbage can or anything like that. And then she could have been in a landfill somewhere, God forbid. Or he could have went to that marsh above where he used to live in Revere, Mass. So, you know, the body's going to be badly decomped. Okay. The body's it's probably just going to be skeletal remains, hair, teeth, maybe fingernails left in place. I'd be surprised if there were any muscle, tissue, organs, eyes, anything like that. I'd be surprised if any of that would be present.
Yeah, and that's the challenging part is, we've heard some of the pros and some folks like yourself, we always hold on to hope. And like you said, Long Island serial killer, we have baby Jane Doe. They found this baby's remains many years later after they were placed along Ocean Parkway. So anything is possible here. And I just want to say too, is I put a post in the chat. How many of you guys feel, and we heard the prosecutor say after the verdicts were read, and we'll play that in a few, the prosecutor said, Adam Montgomery knows where Harmony Montgomery's remains are. You heard that, Ed, right? How powerful was that statement? That statement was powerful, and he said it with extreme conviction. How many of you folks think Kayla Montgomery knows where Adam placed or and I hate to use the word, and forgive me, God, where he dumped her remains? I feel that they were communicating quite well. And he testified that he was paranoid and thought that she was cooperating, but there was a long period of time before he got to that paranoia state. So I think that they shared in their getting high together. And I'm sorry I'm being long-winded, but these were two peas in a pod. We heard her say, Ed, that she still loves him on the stand. I still love him. So what are your thoughts, Ed?
I think if she had that information, she would have played that card and got a better deal. If she knew where that body was, I think she would have played the card to get out of all her crimes and to get a better deal in her her negotiations to testify and have time shaved off her sentencing. I don't.
Yeah, that's a very good thought there, Ed. But I also thought too, on the other side of that coin, is maybe she thought that if she directed them to where the remains were, that there would be some evidence that she helped in some sort of way. Her DNA would be all over Harmony's remains. Who knows? I don't know.
Well,
I'm just thinking.
I mean, she testified. She testified to that. She testified she went in there and helped cut the shirt off. She had to have touched the body. She touched the bag. She delivered the bag to the pizzeria where Adam stuck it in the freezer. So let me just back up for a little bit.
Okay, sure.
Did I misstate lie for lime? Because if I did, I meant lime. Because if they would have put lye on the body, whoa, that's a whole different animal. In the pH scale, you have acid, neutral, and a base. And lye is base. You put a base on skin, it's more damaging and deadly to you than acid because it destroys tissue at the molecular level. Okay. Right. But he bought lime, according to the testimony. Okay. Yes. And put bags of lime in the bag with Harmony.
Right. Wanda has a question in the chat, and we're not going to be doing questions, but I wanted to highlight this one. DutyRon and Ed, question. Do you think Adam kept where he put her remains as to use as a bargaining chip at sentencing? I personally say no to that. I think he's going to play hardball. He's going to come in there. If he does come in there, he's going to be defiant. He's going to be just cold stare. I don't think we'll hear a peep from that piece of garbage. He is a coward. He's an evil demon. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that, Ed?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think he's going to be defiant in court when he gets there. I don't think he's going to have any acts of contrition. The whole defense has been all along to put the blame on his ex.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, are they divorced? Are they officially divorced?
Adam and Kayla, you talking?
Yeah. Are they divorced?
I'm not sure. I never looked into that, but like.
Yeah, but he's blaming Kayla. The whole defense was to blame Kayla. She did it. She did it. She did it. Okay.
Right.
She has no history of violence. The only one here with a documented history of violence is Adam.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the problem with Kayla is that she showed really no emotion as it pertains to Harmony when the testimony about her, when she gave testimony about her, she really didn't get broken up. She got more broken up when she was testifying about her being beaten and battered women's syndrome. I'm well aware of it. I'm not saying it's not a real thing. Obviously it is. But she didn't present well in court, because when it came to testimony about Harmony and about even the part when she was talking about taking her clothes and cutting them off in the bathroom and helping him, she said she was scared of him and she just did what he asked her to do. But she said also too that she went back and stayed with the kids because she was trying to protect her kids. And
right. See, Harmony wasn't her kid.
Right.
Harmony wasn't her kid.
Right. I know, but it showed how she was detached from it and how she really didn't care. And that's what made most of America and most of the world see her as a very cold-blooded, cold-hearted person. I want to go to this search because it's relevant to what we're now going to start talking about, is these locations outside of Revere, Massachusetts, and the different locations. This is from 10 months ago, so bear with me on this. I'm going to fast forward it after we look at this piece on Court TV. This was 10 months in the past, so they'll be saying things that may be, from in the past. So just letting you guys know. But the reason I want to play it is because it shows some of the evilness of Adam as it led up to where we are. Fast forward to today. So let's take a peek at this.
This morning, Adam Montgomery was arrested for the murder of Harmony Montgomery in 2019. Mr. Montgomery has been charged with the following 4 crimes: second-degree murder, falsifying physical evidence, abuse of corpse, and tampering with witnesses or informants.
You know what I mean? I'm right there. I got nothing to say. The only thing we're trying to figure out is where Harmony. Okay. Where's your daughter so we can check on her to make sure that she's okay? Just ask her where she is. I have nothing to say. You don't care if your daughter's okay. I do. I have nothing to say.
Well,
we still don't know where Harmony Montgomery is, but this video we're going to show you tonight, this is courtesy of our next guest, joining me from Boston, Massachusetts, Boston 25 reporter Bob Ward. Bob, thanks so much for taking the time tonight. Really appreciate it. Can you tell us, put that video back up. Let's take a look. What's going on with the search?
Well, Vinny, today the Massachusetts State Police, along with police from Manchester, New Hampshire, searched an area in the city of Revere, which is just north of Boston. There's salt marshes along Route 107. It's about a mile and a half stretch of road, looking for evidence and possibly Harmony Montgomery herself. They were there all day from about 9 o'clock this morning till 4 o'clock this afternoon. And what you're seeing there is some video that I took as they went into those salt marshes. And, it's kind of a line search there. They had sticks and they were going through those marshes. They were looking in the water. They had 4 teams of canine that they were taking into those marshes and into those woods. There's one of the canine right there. It was a very long and exhaustive search. They had a drone up. It was very windy, actually. I didn't see the drone up in the sky, but they were there for a very long time, Vinny. Little Harmony Montgomery has been missing more than 3 years. And this is the first search that I know of like this in Massachusetts. She's been missing from New Hampshire. There have been a couple of major searches up in New Hampshire, up in the Manchester area, which is about an hour and a half north of where this search took place. And so a pretty significant development. They called off the search around 4 o'clock. They searched all the areas that they were intending to look at, and they did not reveal whether they found anything.
And we have about a minute left here. So what's the nexus? What's the connection to Revere, Massachusetts and Harmony Montgomery?
Sure. Adam Montgomery is Harmony Montgomery's dad. He is charged with her murder. And that's Adam Montgomery right there. Adam Montgomery grew up in Revere, Massachusetts. He eventually moved on up to New Hampshire, but that is where he's from. They're still trying to find this little girl's body.
Now, I want to point out here, friends, the reason this was 10 months ago, Ed, and I'm going to put us back on. This was a program from 10 months ago, and the trial had not started. And all of the information that we heard at the trial about him with the U-Haul, that was not being released to the public. And now this is a prime example, Ed, of how when we cover these crime stories, these missing person cases, these murder cases, how police, meaning the Manchester Police Department, have things that they keep in their pocket, keep it close to the vest, all the different terminologies that we use. It was all known to them at this time, and that search was going on, and it was covered by the news, but nobody knew why they were doing the search. You heard that reporter say it's because he lived over there. No, it's because they tracked him on that with that U-Haul truck, and they knew that he made all of these different various stops. Ed, I wanted to just talk to you again about the complications. We heard about the dogs. We heard about drones, and Twyla from EquiSearch talked when we were on live talking on another case for a search for a missing child, that they used that program Locate. I wanted you to please talk a little bit about Locate and some of the technology that could be used to look for different color clothing, this CMC bag, and so forth that we're going to talk about.
Okay, so when the search team like EquiSearch puts up the drone, and they fly the drone in a pattern over a search the area they want to search, and they're recording the whole time. So they record all this footage, and they bring that footage down, and they put that footage into the Locate software, which uses an algorithm, and then in the algorithm, they'll input colors of the clothing the suspect or the victim was last seen wearing, and then that software will go through the entire video, no matter how long it is, searching for that color. And when it finds that color, it alerts the person running the program to the timestamp location where they found the color, and then that individual then go in and look at it and zoom in there and try to see what it is, in fact.
And that's an amazing tool to use when you're searching such a large area like this. Let's go to a couple of the super chats, and that's something that technology, the advancement of that stuff in that program is just tremendous. Darlene, thank you for coming. You had something up on the screen?
No, I just wanted to say something else.
Okay, go ahead.
Because we see what was done in the Troconis case, where they took an actual state trooper to look at video from several rest stops on the north and southbound of the Merrick Parkway. Now, had they taken that video, there is software that we could use with that video. It's just like facial recognition software, and we input it into the into the software. We're looking for 2001 or 2000 Toyota Tacoma crew cab, red in color. And that could have saved all the man hours that trooper went through, hours and hours of video to find that Tacoma in the Troconis case on those 4 rest stop cameras, 2 northbound, 2 southbound. Okay, so but thank God they did it because it was excellent police work to show the timeline of the movement of photos in his workers' Toyota Tacoma.
I found it amazing that there was many hours of testimony as it pertains to that, and the actual job that they did was so phenomenal. Dotting their I's and crossing their T's, going and pulling the different various cameras from state and DOT cameras and so forth. It was amazing. And then the extra work with the drones and such, it was great. Hey, our good friend Robbie over in Australia, he sent in a members chat, member for 6 months. He said, "Hey, DutyRon, hey mate," I can hear him right now. Adam Montgomery got a beating the other day. So yeah, I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. I'm not condoning violence. Neither does Ed. We don't condone that here, but jailhouse justice, if that in fact is true, too bad, right?
Hey, Robbie, I'll be down under in 2 weeks.
Yeah, Ed's on the move. Darzilla sends in a $10 super chat, and he or she says, if they can prove Kayla lied about something, can they revoke her plea deal and arrest her for Harmony? In my opinion, she's guilty too. She was there for it all. Justice for Harmony. Yeah, they made it clear. And I don't know the legality of, like, now the trial is over. If they go back and they find that something through investigative steps that she talked about or that she testified about was a lie, then I think there's a process that they can go through. And yeah, she can get what's coming to her. I feel like she got a slap on the wrist. I don't want to get off topic because this topic is not about Kayla Montgomery, but of course she's part of this whole thing. I feel she got a slap on the wrist, and I think that she should not be walking free. She should at least do for the stealing of the money for Harmony after she knew she was murdered by her by her husband, and all of the things that she did. I mean, 10 years wouldn't be unreasonable in my eyes, and I think that would be a slap on the wrist too. But I don't think that she should get out at least for a good decade or so for what her take was in it. And Dawn Grandma of 3, she said, "I love listening to the two of you." Well,
yeah. Thank you.
We love that you love it, and thank you for being here. So Schmitty, member for 28 freaking months. Look at that. Lions, DutyRon and Ed, thank you for sticking with the trial. And I'm going to play that now. That's great that she said that. She's making the reference to what the district attorney said. He called the Manchester Police Department. I almost said Montgomery Police. The Manchester Police Department, he referred to them as lions. And I freaking love this. I'm going to play. It's about 8 minutes. So we got a break, Ed. If you need to do anything, check the Hang Sang. I want to play that because I think that is a great thing because we never got a chance to do it. And then when we come back, we'll take your questions. Hashtag Ed, hashtag DutyRon. And I'd like to get 1 or 2 people that are brave to come up and ask us some questions. What do you think of that, Ed?
All right.
We love to do that every once in a while. We can't do it all the time, but I think it's a good thing. It keeps everybody, it keeps us all gelled together, and we're a community, and we're part of Crime Time at DutyRon. We want to hear what you have to say. So let's play this. This is the district attorney right outside the courthouse, right outside the courtroom in the hallway after the guilty verdicts across the board.
So those I know are certainly the charges. I'm happy to take questions at any time. Very, very grateful for the jury. This is a very, very difficult case in terms of the number of witnesses that had to testify, that they had to listen to. This jury had to pay attention to 50 witnesses in a little over the course of roughly 8 days. That's a lot of testimony. There's a lot of different factors. You had multiple different charges. They had to consider the July crime separate from what occurred in December and on forward. That's a lot of work for a jury, and they have done that very, very well. And so we were greatly appreciative to the jury's time and attention. They had to listen to facts that the Manchester Police Department and that the community have lived with. And I think a lot of people didn't really know all the facts until they actually heard and saw the witnesses at trial. And as a result of that, again, we're very, very grateful for the jury for their time and their attention on this. And it's a very big relief that they have seen through and that they've held him accountable for the actions that he's committed.
And as prosecutors and law enforcement, I know this isn't about you, but I can't help but notice that there's some tears in your eyes. It's different. Talk about that.
I would say, I don't know if I would say it's different, only because I know other statements that I've heard in the past is to say, why were so much time and resources put towards this little girl? And sometimes even from others saying, well, where are the resources for these other cases? Every person who has their life taken from them on murder, whether it is a 5-year-old child or a 63-year-old man or a 45-year-old, every single person has a value of their lives. And so while some have said, why was so much attention here? That attention is something that the Manchester Police Department, that all of the different law enforcement agencies put into every homicide case in this state. And so this case was different in terms of some of the attention that it garnered, but not in terms of the value of Harmony's life or the value of anybody else's life being taken here in New Hampshire and having the same attention being brought to it and trying to hold those accountable in a court of law, hold them accountable and have some justice.
There was an extra dimension of community involvement because this started as a missing persons case. And it just feels like there is a more public vested interest in all homicides. I didn't mean to equivocate
That's okay.
this case,
That's
but
okay.
there is a next level to this because of that community involvement from the moment of that New Year's Eve press conference where they said, help us find this little girl.
And that community involvement has been tremendous. Residents in Manchester, but not even just Manchester. So there were residents all around the country who had different tips. We heard some of that at trial with regards to tips that came in from Florida, from Arizona. And those tips were followed up on by partners that we've worked with, the Manchester Police Department has worked with for years. And they were so important to being able to find even sometimes very, very minute pieces. Again, at trial, we heard about one particular tip in Arizona that was tracked down. And somebody thought that is worthwhile to call in to try to find somebody who was missing. And that mattered. And you might think it doesn't matter, but it really does matter. And that's the type of work that was done here. And it's not just the Manchester Police Department, although they have been lions in pursuing this case.
I freaking love that. That is a great statement there, Ed. And he said that with like passion. He was just, they were like lions on this case. And this DA worked closely with them as they investigated Harmony Montgomery's murder. What do you think, Ed?
Yeah, I would say definitely they were tenacious. They were like a pit bull with a toy and wasn't letting go. So.
Yeah. So I'm going to let this play over again. And thank you for everyone with the comments in the chat. Keep the comments going. We love it. We're looking at all the comments and we will take your questions shortly.
Was tracked down. And somebody thought that is worthwhile to call in to try to find somebody who was missing. And that mattered. And you might think it doesn't matter, but it really does matter. And that's the type of work that was done here. And it's not just the Manchester Police Department, although they have been lions in pursuing this case. It's also the work of the partners that they've been able to team up with. That's New Hampshire State Police, New Hampshire Fish and Game, here in this state. As well, I almost gave the list. I got to remember New Hampshire Department of Corrections and their investigative staff, who've done also a fantastic job. Its counterparts in other states, as you heard during trial, Massachusetts State Police, Massachusetts State Police dive team, the Revere Police Department. You've heard in trial, we was also had assistance from the Maine State Police, also from Maine Fish and Game. Our federal partners, Billy Tufts and everybody over there at the U.S. Marshal Service, as well as the United States Attorney's Office here for the state of New Hampshire. You also had a tremendous amount of work by the FBI in the search of 644 Union Street and other work there. If you want to talk about outside coalitions, not only those other departments, but the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which does this work, not only on this case, but every missing adult and child that they can help out every day. You're also talking about some outside agencies like New England Canine Search and Rescue, who volunteered their dogs to be able to help search on several different places. That is a community response. It's a national response. And it could not be more appreciated in a moment like right now.
We just heard from Harmony's mother, and you may have addressed this already, but she still hopes to find Harmony. Where does this mean the end of the
Listen
search for
to this
Harmony?
now.
What-
Excellent question. And the answer is it does not. One of the things that we could not state before, but we can more clearly state now after the verdict, is during trial, people heard the last place that Adam Montgomery had driven that U-Haul to. And I have some specifics on that. I'm hoping people are paying attention. He had that U-Haul between March 3rd into March 4th in 2020. He drove 133 miles. We heard about that on that U-Haul. Subtracting back the 2.3 miles back and forth, 3.2 from the rental, that left him with roughly a 106-mile road trip all the way down, at least through the Tobin bridge tolls, we know, northbound, southbound, northbound again through those tolls, and then back to Manchester. That only left him with 26 miles of driving that he could have done between where he was at the Econo Lodge in Manchester and going through the Tobin those 3 times. What that means is, and we know that he went through no New Hampshire tolls. So what that means is that she is somewhere along that route. And you heard about the searches that have been done specifically in the Rumney Marsh Reservation in Revere, around the Sales Creek area, the Chelsea Creek area, behind North Shore Road. Revere Police, Mass State Police have been relentless in searching those areas with the Manchester Police Department. These ladies and gentlemen drove down and worked with them hand in hand. Those are still our big areas of search and our big areas that we're hoping that somebody sees something. Everybody who might have seen the trial also would have seen the CMC bag. And there was a demonstrative that was used during trial. It was the exact same type bag. It had light tan, it was canvas, had dark colored straps, and had a CMC logo in the middle. That was positively identified by multiple witnesses as the bag that Adam Montgomery had the last night that he had that bag in the U-Haul. So that bag went somewhere along that route and somewhere within no more than 26 miles off of that route down and back to Revere. Also at this trial, what was pointed out was the fact that Adam Montgomery was from the Revere area. He would know it very well. That is still a high area of interest. And we are still asking for anybody now who has heard this information, who's seen this information. If you see this bag, if you hear about this bag, if you walk in one of these areas, you take the dog out for a walk, if you see anything like that that seems to be disturbed, to please let us know. You heard also at trial that Harmony's body was bagged up several times inside of that CMC bag. There's a high likelihood that there may still be parts of her that we can recover, part of her body, pardon me just for a second, part of her body that we can recover. We're really hoping that we can do that. We really hope that she can get the burial that she deserves, that everybody deserves.
Do you think that he'll ever cooperate with you and your investigators and lead you to the body at any point? Do you have hope for that?
I don't know that I can speculate with regards to what Adam Montgomery thinks, the choices that he's made between when he did this, the choice to do what he did, and then the choices he's made since then. I can't speculate on what choice he may make in the future about whether or not to say where she is, but he knows where she is. So,
that is a powerful statement in itself. You and I talked about that, Ed. We're going to skip forward to the chief because he says a couple of things. I want to mention that. And congratulations to the 10 gifted memberships Ed and I just gifted out to the members. What did you think about that statement right there? Him saying Adam Montgomery in no uncertain terms knows where Harmony's remains are.
He's spot on.
Yeah.
And, you know, Adam had a chance to play that card and get himself out of a lot of trouble here and lesser sentence possibly, but he didn't play the card.
He played hardball.
He played hardball, and now he's going to do hard time.
Agreed. Here's the chief coming up, and you know what? Look, the prosecutor was asked, Ed, here, what is the reporter? I skipped forward, but the reporter said, what is the probability of Adam Montgomery seeing the light of day and getting out ever? And he actually joked and said, I hope, he said, a long, long time, he's never going to be, he's never going to, basically said he's never going to get out. But he also joked and said, I hope I'm not still practicing law when that time comes up. So he's got the 33 and a half years to 60 something years on the unrelated gun charges that he's already sentenced to. He's in his 30s right now. I think I have it written down, 33 years old, 34. He is looking at those charges probably to the end of his life, just on those gun charges alone. When he gets sentenced in May, which people are pissed that it's going to take that long, but you heard the judge say that her schedule was jam-packed. She was on a trial. They talked about after April, probably May, he'll be sentenced. He's never going to see the light of day. Ed, any thoughts on that?
Well, no, I mean, especially if they're going to, with all these charges, they're going to run consecutively. So when one finishes, the next sentence picks up. So it's not running concurrent. So he's not having all those charges running the same time. So when one charge is fulfilled, whatever the max is, then the next one kicks in. He's not going to see the light of day.
Never. He's going to
And
die.
nor should he.
Right. He's going to come out of the state prison in a body bag. And I'm not saying that someone's going to kill him in prison, but he's going to come out of that prison. The only way he's getting out is in a body bag with a toe tag. So
When he dies in prison.
Dies in prison. Exactly.
Hopefully, natural courses.
There you go.
Press conferences, you were very emotional talking about this.
This is the chief of the Manchester Police Department.
I want to thank the team. I didn't do anything on this. Detective Max Rahill, Jack Dunleavy, Captain Layton, Captain Larochelle, where I am. I know you're back there somewhere. And many others back in the room, Jesse O'Neill, Lyons, and these two gentlemen here. State of New Hampshire is lucky to have people like Attorney Agati and Attorney Knowles going after justice for victims. Yeah, it's been an emotional ride.
This is where we talk about teamwork, right? And he, right there on national television, he knows that this is being broadcast to the world. He basically said, I didn't do anything. My detectives, my captains, my supervisors, and the prosecutors, they did it together as a cohesive team. I mean, how proud does that make you, Ed? I mean, it made me so damn proud to hear the police chief, the highest authority in Manchester, say, I want to congratulate the state of New Hampshire has these two great attorneys. We are blessed to have them. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah. Now, Chief, you said those words. Now give all those officers promotions.
Exactly. Let's listen to what else he says, because there's a very, very, very compelling statement he makes. And he makes a statement to hold DCYF. He doesn't call them out by the agency, but he says all who failed Harmony should be held accountable. Let's listen.
I'll leave it at that.
What was it like for you to hear, you made sure you were here during the trial, and you were also here when the jury delivered that verdict guilty? What was it like when you heard that verdict guilty?
Feel good for the team, honestly. Dedicated. It's hard. Still got to find her. Kind of where been articulated that well. If anybody, please, I mean, this girl deserves better than the life that she had. And at least this team, I'm thankful to the media as well, who kept Harmony's story out there. Bob, I know you did, Amy, many others, and you did it respectfully. You did it with dignity. So we appreciate that. And I just, there's never a good day with these things. This isn't about winning or losing. This is about a 5-year-old girl that was murdered by her father. And I can think of no worse crime. And I'm looking forward, and I know they are, to seeing him in sentencing.
Chief, I noticed Harmony's mother give you a handshake after everything. What did that mean?
Just a simple gesture of thank you. I mean, what do you say? You know, mother lost her daughter.
Class act.
It's tough.
You know, Chief, she felt like she couldn't get anybody's attention. She kept sounding the alarm. It wasn't until she got to Manchester PD that somebody listened.
Yeah, and Jack Dunleavy right there. He's the one that listened. And went to Lieutenant LaRochelle at the time, and went to Captain Layton, and we listened. And a couple other people at the back of the room, and many over there. We listened, and I got to be careful, but there's been some failures here, and those failures were not on the part of the Manchester Police Department. I will stand by that till the end of my career and beyond. I still firmly believe that some people in some other agencies need to be held accountable.
Amen. Amen.
This took a brass pair of balls, because I want to tell you why it took. Let me put us on, Ed. The reason this took this was a brass pair of balls is because he wasn't holding this press conference. The DA, the district attorney, was holding it, right? And when it comes to holding people accountable in the state of New Hampshire, the DA, the district attorney, along with the attorney general, that's their job. So he actually called them out, and he actually said that the Manchester Police Department did their jobs. Now,
not only that,
I say this, Ed, they failed in a couple of ways with the calls for service to that house on Guilford Street, right? There was the calls, and there was the people getting high and the noise complaints, and they never followed up. They didn't go that extra step to see what kind of who's in that house, or their kids in there. Yes, they did fail on those, and I said it many times, but I'm going to back this up. And Ed, go ahead with your thought. I hate that I cut you off, but go ahead.
No worries. He's the chief of police. He serves at the discretion of the mayor. Okay. And he's pointing fingers at both his state and Massachusetts state.
Yes.
Specifically, the child protective services of those two states. All right. And he's spot on. Now, I mean, think of the politics of this. Think how brave he was to say this, because, you know, the governor can take a hissy fit and then call the mayor, and then the mayor, if you know, probably the same political party, can have this guy launched.
He could lose his job, and he knows. Right. You could see he takes a deep breath when he goes to say this. You could see that he's like, "Oh shit, I'm about to say something, but I don't care. I'm gonna say it." So I put it back. Let's play it again. Just look at his face. He takes a deep breath, and he looks at the DA. He looks at the district attorney who just got finished prosecuting this case, who was just up at the podium and said, "He's looking at me here."
This isn't about winning or losing. This is about a 5-year-old girl that was murdered by her father. And I can think of no worse crime. And I'm looking forward, and I know they are, to seeing him in sentencing.
Chief, I noticed Harmony's mother give you a handshake after everything.
Just a simple gesture of thank you. I mean, what do you say? You know, mother lost her daughter. It's tough.
You know, Chief, she felt like she couldn't get anybody's attention. She kept sounding the alarm, and it wasn't until she got to Manchester PD that somebody listened.
Yeah, and Jack Dunleavy right there. He's the one that listened.
This is what started it right here.
And went to Lieutenant La Rochelle at the time, and went to Captain Layton, and we listened. And a couple other people at the back of the room, and many over there. We listened, and I got to be careful, but there's been some failures here. And those failures were not on the part of the Manchester Police Department. I will stand by that till the end of my career and beyond.
Watch this right here.
I still firmly believe that some people in some other agencies need to be held accountable. And I'm asking for that. This little 5-year-old girl, she deserves somebody to be held accountable that failed along the way. Because we wouldn't be standing here today if other people had done their job. And if that hurts feelings, Ben's looking at me. I'm getting the look.
There's only one person I hold accountable, Chief, but that's all right. We just found him guilty.
Yes, sir.
Did you
stop right there? Yeah, I did not like that statement.
I didn't either.
Because he's saying, the district attorney said, there's only one person I feel is responsible, and we convicted that person. Okay, that's not true. Poor Harmony should be alive today if it wasn't for the mistakes, the incompetence, the laziness of people in the child protective services of both the state of Massachusetts and the state of New Hampshire. We all saw the testimony. If you haven't, I highly recommend go back to YouTube, look up the testimony of the former child protective service investigator who, after getting an anonymous tip from Adam's uncle about the assault Adam committed on Harmony, and look at that testimony and tell me that this man doesn't have blood all over his hands for what he didn't do.
110%. But the judge also in Massachusetts who started this whole thing, that judge should be removed from the bench and brought up on charges. That judge that gave Adam Montgomery the full custody of Harmony Montgomery without checking his criminal record, that judge, ladies and gentlemen, that judge should be strung up by his balls. And that's what needs to be done here, 100%.
Well, I mean, all right. I get it that the biological mother had a substance abuse problem and she had 2 court appearances at the same time. She can't be in 2 places at the same time. Where were her lawyers with the other judge at that hearing determining who's getting the child, to say, hey, we have a conflict in the court appearances. She's in another court at the same time that you're going to be making this ruling of custody.
Yeah.
I mean, that it should have been put off. So again, there's failures all along the way. The judge definitely, he retired, so you're not going to get any. You're not going to get any.
But he still could be held accountable. I don't care. Retiring doesn't make you be able to hide. You need.
That's true. But when was the last time you heard of a judge getting in trouble for a ruling they made? It's few and far between.
There's a first time for everything, Ed. And if there was ever a first time, this would have been the time right now to bring that guy up and make him an example. So this way, these scumbag judges across the United States can't continue to do this to our kids.
It's not just that judge. It's the child services. I mean, when I saw that testimony, the anger that came over me watching this, okay, and the smugness of his testimony, like this guy didn't give a shit. That's his whole attitude. He didn't give a shit. Okay,
I want to pull that up because I have it in the hopper. I can grab that testimony, but that'll take.
But I mean, I see criminality here, but the prosecutor is like putting blinders on, is not seeing the criminality that the chief is talking about.
Right.
Harmony should be alive today if these people did their job.
100%. And now that guy's out there delivering mail and he's going to get a federal pension from the post office. It's sickening on many different levels. Let's let this play and we'll come back. Hashtag Ed, hashtag DutyRon. Let us know if you think we're on point here in this discussion. I know that a lot of you guys agree with us wholeheartedly. There's so many people to be to be held accountable, but kudos to this man, Chief Oldenburg. Unbelievable warrior.
And if that hurts feelings, Ben's looking at me. I'm getting the look.
There's only one person I hold accountable, Chief, but that's all right. He just found him guilty.
Yes, sir.
You mean the state of Massachusetts and the state of New Hampshire?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, right. She said, do you mean the state of Massachusetts and the state of New Hampshire? He said, yeah, I do.
Being honest with you. Will that ever happen? I don't know. But the man ultimately who is responsible for this act has been found guilty of a brutal murder.
But Chief, I'm assuming your message there is a child shouldn't be able to go unseen for 2 years without anybody taking them.
Blows my mind.
Yeah, you're damn right.
Yeah, he said she said, how is it possible that this child went unnoticed for 2 whole years?
Unseen, unnoticed, no welfare check, nothing.
And he said, it blows my mind.
A brutal murder.
But Chief, I'm assuming your message there is a child shouldn't be able to go unseen for 2 years without anybody taking them.
Blows my mind.
You're on the pulse of the city. What's the temperature of the community out there right now?
I haven't been outside the building yet. I got to imagine as a community, greater Manchester area, the state of New Hampshire, probably feels pretty good right now that we collectively as a state did our part on behalf of Harmony. And, wherever she is right now, maybe she, feels it and feels what we're able to get done because of this team here. And Amy, where's the advocates? They're here somewhere. Ladies, all right. Didn't want to forget you guys.
He didn't forget anybody.
And the people listening at home, there's a tip line still open.
The tip line will remain open.
This is important.
Don't ask me that off the top of my head right now because I got a lot going on. But the tip line is open. That's out there publicly available on our website and many other places. So, yes, to the attorney Gotti's point, I'm still convinced somebody's out there knows something a little bit more about where she may be, perhaps. And when the weather starts to break and people start getting out and walking around in the areas that they normally wouldn't in the winter, maybe they keep a little extra eye open, right? And maybe we catch a break.
Is Bill Levy a question?
So this is the lead detective.
Come on, Jack.
He's got 10 years on the job, Ed.
Your name was invoked over and over again as the,
Promote him.
the lead on this investigation. Just give us a sense of it.
Overwhelming. We've got about 10 years.
Yeah, I want to just.
All rise for the jurors, please.
I want to just say something. This man right here says a couple of really, really powerful things. I want you guys to pay close attention to what this 10-year vet had to say about being thrust into the limelight on this case and exactly what he did and what he vows to continue to do for Harmony Montgomery. And it was impressive to hear this, in my eyes, rookie. 10 years, you're still a little wet behind your ears, but he did an unbelievable job, but listen to what he says he's going to do.
Invoked over and over again as the, the lead on this investigation. Just give us a sense of it.
Overwhelming. We've got about 10 years on the job right now, and I never thought in my wildest dreams that a case like this would be something that I'd be assigned to. But I credit the people that I work with for gaining the experience I did to come to a great resolution today. I have great bosses. I have a great partner. I couldn't have done it without Max. He's become one of my best friends. Obviously, today is a great win, but it still feels like it's not complete. Didn't find her. I'm going to be on the job for some time. I still have about 15 years left. And as long as I'm a police officer, I'm going to continue to look for her.
That was powerful, Ed. You don't hear that often. He vowed for the rest of his career to try to find Harmony Montgomery. He's never going to give up. Do you know, this may be a guy who I would reach out to on behalf of EquiSearch Midwest and try to start. You have to start, as you know, trying to get a hold of the police chief may be difficult, Ed, right? But maybe getting a hold of Dunleavy might, he might take my call. And I would just like to just either A, congratulate him, or B, do congratulations and offer EquiSearch's services if they need them to come with the drones or whatever it can be to search particular areas. I'd love to work with this guy through EquiSearch to see if we can find Harmony's remains. But yeah, I want to just play a little bit more because this is unbelievable, and then we'll wrap it up, Ed.
Our first conversation with Crystal Story that made you say,
I just listened where other people might not have. I chose to listen to her and gather all the facts and try to understand the whole picture. Mr. Montgomery, I had actually met him before in a time of need. So I was able to try to establish some rapport with him when I first met him. I had no dealings with Mrs. Story prior to that, but I'm glad that she can come to me as a resource from here on out if she ever needs anything.
Can you take us inside that room when Kayla was actually walking you through what happened and how that child was moved away? Could you believe what you were hearing?
It's really tough. You've never, you can imagine for all this time we were trying to imagine in our minds what had happened and try to put the pieces together. But I don't know if any of us in that room could have imagined that was the details that would have emerged when it was all said and done. But obviously it's got us going in the case. We started collecting the necessary information we needed to, and now this is where we are today.
Was it hard to talk to her and get information out of her, or did she just kind of offer it up?
Of course, it's difficult to hear details like that, especially to a person like myself who deals with only cases where kids are physically and sexually abused. But I have a job to do. I can't let my emotions get in the way. So although it was difficult, I'm not going to lie. Of course, it was difficult. Anybody would have been hard pressed to hear that.
Ed, so you heard him say there that he deals with, the abuse of children. So he's in a special squad. It takes a really strong individual to do that. But here we are. We heard this was important. Ed, you remember on Thursday, I was like, I want to go live with this Thursday night. You were tired. I fell asleep. I was ready to go live with this, but I'm glad that we got this out because this is a lot of the behind the scenes that we heard all along during this Harmony Montgomery case, that the police weren't doing enough. They weren't doing their job. Remember all the things that we were answering out, Ed, about Manchester Police Department? But all along behind the scenes, they were doing their work. They're doing that gumshoe work, pounding the streets, interviewing and interrogating witnesses, and Kayla Montgomery. They really worked hard on her. And that was not a secret. We knew that she, and just like in the Thomas Valva case, we had the Angela Polina and Michael Valva, the ex-NYPD transit cop. We knew that she was going to turn on him and that he was going to turn on her. And it was the same kind of situation. We had a young autistic child, his child, that they froze to death in the garage, and they tortured and murdered him over a long period of time. And they both turned on each other to try to save their own asses. But we didn't see Adam Montgomery come into that courtroom one time. Not once. He invoked his right to not be in that courtroom, and the judge instructed the jury, you can't hold this against him, but they still found him guilty. Hey, your thoughts on his coward behavior and not coming in that courtroom, Ed?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it was strategic on the part of his lawyers saying he probably couldn't control himself, or that his mere presence in the courtroom would piss off the jury. I don't know what was going on there, but it is his right. But guess what? It's the law that he has to show up for sentencing. So he's not going to be a no-show for the sentencing.
Right, and we heard that in the courtroom, the district attorney here, he came right before the judge after the guilty verdict and said, Your Honor, we want to invoke. He was stating, the numbers of
He quoted the law. He quoted the law by the penal law numbers, and he does it here in the press conference as well.
Yeah, and he said we want to ensure that he comes into court for his sentence. But this is the thing. There's a loophole to this thing, and a lot of people aren't realizing it. If he claims that he's sick that day, he claims sick, they're not going to transport him there. And this guy knows this. He knows it, and he's going to try to play with the system. I'm going to hold.
He also refused coming because he didn't want to be cavity searched.
Yeah, strip searched, cavity searched. Well, anyways, be prepared for any of the number of these ridiculous things that he's going to try to pull. I wanted to just play a little bit here about Crystal Sorey. She is suing the state of New Hampshire and probably the state of Massachusetts. Let's take a listen to what this is. Only a minute or so, and we'll get to your questions.
Steve, Crystal Sorey's attorney says they plan to file a civil suit against the state, saying the state caseworkers and supervisors are also responsible for Harmony's death. After the verdict, a call by the Manchester police chief for more accountability.
This little 5-year-old girl, she deserves somebody to be held accountable that failed along the way, because we wouldn't be standing here today if other people had done their job.
That possibility taking shape sooner rather than later.
I do look forward to representing Crystal and helping her to hold the state accountable for what happened.
The biological mother of Harmony Montgomery getting ready to file a civil suit on behalf of her daughter.
People that dropped the ball in state government, and if they'd done their job, then I truly believe that Harmony would still be here today.
The news comes just one day after Adam Montgomery was convicted of murdering Harmony. Crystal speaking with News 9 outside the courtroom, saying this is not over.
Finally feel relieved, that there's some justice being served. Obviously it's not over. I'm never going to give up until she's home and things are changed, because this can't keep happening,
And the attorney adds he hopes the tip line that is still open stays active, with tips coming into the Manchester Police Department to help them direct.
So there's the tip line. 603 is the area code. Mods, if you can just put that in the chat, we greatly appreciate that. Mods, if you could grab that tip line, 603-932-8255. 8997. I will link it down below in the description. So it's 603-932-8997. Ed, I want to give away a couple more free memberships. Put a 1 in the chat. Make sure you give the thumbs up. If you're not yet subscribed, please take a moment to subscribe. It gives you an extra chance to get a membership. Google just randomly selects them. But it seems to me that most people that get these things are either subscribed to our channel and they're engaging. So a little bit of engagement, it always gives you an extra chance. Hashtag Ed, hashtag DutyRon, number 1 in the chat, thumbs up and subscribe gives you a chance. Ed, did you see anything that popped out that maybe we didn't cover? I mean, the chances in the beginning, I asked you, what's the difficulty in recovering Harmony Montgomery? Somebody said in the chat, you know, she could be in a sewer somewhere. She could be thrown in a garbage somewhere. Like, why wouldn't Adam Montgomery just gone to a local dumpster that's active and that's getting picked up each day, that garbage is going into like a Wendy's parking lot or one of these fast food joints where you're complete turnover day to day of garbage? You know, they get those pickups like quite frequently. Why wouldn't he have done something like that? And why would he travel that far and go out towards Revere, where they're talking about this 26-mile range, Ed?
I mean, why would he hold on to her poor dead body for all that time?
2 months.
Going and living in the shelter, living in the car, living in the shelter, living in an apartment. It makes no sense whatsoever. He has no clue what he's doing. I can't put a rhyme or reason to this guy's actions. It's just lunacy.
Yeah, it's utter insanity. We don't see this often, where perpetrators of heinous crimes, no less father, flesh and blood, his own flesh and blood. He had his wife. This is not Harmony's mother. He had Crystal Sorey with her own kids in the stroller, put that CMC bag in that stroller and walk it over to the Portland Pie Company with Harmony's remains in it. Like, he
had Harmony in an ice chest in a common hallway. We don't even know who owned the ice chest. It was open to anybody because it was in a hall outside of the apartment, the mother's apartment, right? I mean,
oh my God. Yeah.
so many opportunities to have found poor Harmony's body. And he was just very lucky in the fact that no one had found her in the car, in the ceiling, in the ice chest, in the refrigerator.
Right. And when he clogged up the tub in the apartment right there on Union Street, or no, in the shelter, right? Or was it in the shelter that they clogged up?
The shelter, they had to call the plumber.
He had the gall and audacity after he was taking Harmony's remains as he was breaking her apart, and as the district attorney described, squeezing the fluids out of her, right? That's how he...
I think there was an apartment too. I'm not sure now. I really not.
Union Street apartment. But nonetheless, he had the audacity to call maintenance to come and unclog what he did with human remains. What was he thinking? That nobody was going to smell the decomp? Nobody was going to know? Like, come on. And
that was in the shelter. Nobody smelt it. They smelt it in the shelter, and he took the body out of the ceiling and hid the body in the bathroom while the maintenance people came to check on the apartment.
This is what makes me hold on to hope that, yes, he did drive all the way into that location with that U-Haul truck with the CMC bag, which was verified in that truck, that he did drive all the way to that. But maybe that he's that deranged that he's like, hey, I want to do this my way. And when I say it's time to let go of her, I let go. So maybe to do that.
He's not smart enough to create a false trail with the rental van, going through those tolls and so forth. He went that far because he did something that far, and he had to come back from that point, right? We just got to get lucky and get the right searches out there and the right environment, the right time, and hopefully it could be something as easy as a dog walker, that can find poor Harmony's remains and notify the police.
Yeah, I heard one of the news reporters, and I believe there was an interview from just a day or so ago, and they said, you know, hopefully somebody that was either walking their dog or uses one of these trails to do walking on comes across something. And I was impressed that the reporter said, if you do see something, don't touch it. Just call 911, call the police there. Crystal Sorey, it's been questioned about her ability to sue the state because her parental rights were never taken away from her, but custody was granted. As we know, we were screaming up and down 20 minutes ago about this Massachusetts judge that ripped Harmony away from her away from the foster mom and gave custody to Adam Montgomery with an extensive criminal history. He shot somebody in the face. He shot someone in the kneecaps. He has many, many violent assaults in his 20 plus arrest rap sheet. But I want you guys to listen to an attorney's take. And then, Ed, I promise this time we'll wrap it up. This is an attorney's take on Crystal Sorey and her legal right to sue on behalf of Harmony Montgomery. So let's take a listen.
Joining us now, thanks for being here once again, Patricia. Let's go through this verdict. Guilty on all charges, including second-degree murder. You explained to us many times the complexities involved in cases with no body. How do you think the prosecution successfully worked around that here?
Well, I think they clearly established Kayla Montgomery's testimony. They developed it. They had strong corroborating evidence to support what she was testifying to. And obviously it wasn't just, you know, they had to overcome the fact that she was convicted of perjury. So I think they did a nice job. As I said previously, you know, I thought her testimony was very compelling. And clearly the jury believed what she had said about how Harmony Montgomery was killed by Adam Montgomery.
And as we know, Adam Montgomery exercised his right not to be in the courtroom for this trial, but that right does not now carry forth to the sentencing, which we're hearing will probably be sometime maybe in early April or so. So will he now be mandated to appear at the sentencing?
Yes, I mean, he could very well be, because now he's not just a defendant. He is now a convicted felon, you know, in this matter at least. And now we have, for lack of a better word, now we have victims who have been recognized by a jury as victims, meaning Harmony herself and, of course, the family. So they have a right through the New Hampshire Victims Bill of Rights to address him at sentencing. So I think, obviously, I've heard previously that the Attorney General's office will be filing motions to make him appear, and I expect they will be citing that statute because, again, they are now recognized by the jury as victims of Adam Montgomery.
Patricia, there are still filings attached to this case. Harmony Montgomery's biological mother is seeking to have Harmony officially declared dead and she be named executor of her daughter's estate. What powers would that award Crystal Sorey?
Well, that would allow her to act on Harmony's behalf in terms of any lawsuit that she wants to bring. I know the paperwork she filed with the court did state that she would like to file a lawsuit on Harmony's behalf for wrongful death. So I anticipate, you know, once the court grants this motion, I can't see any reason why they wouldn't. I don't believe her rights as a parent were ever terminated. So certainly as next of kin, aside from Adam Montgomery, of course, then I don't anticipate the court would have a problem granting her these powers. And then again, that would enable her to sue on behalf of Harmony herself.
Patricia LaFrance, former.
So there you have it. She has, it seems like she's going to have the right. We heard from her attorney. This is just more information. We know that Crystal Sorey is going to be in that courtroom on the sentence date to deliver a victim impact statement. And I wonder, Ed, do you anticipate seeing Adam Montgomery's Uncle Kevin, coming in there and giving a victim impact statement? I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but I think he'll be in the courtroom. I would imagine that he'd be in the courtroom. But again, when he was brought in, he had to be subpoenaed. He said he didn't want to be there. So maybe not. I'm trying to think of who else we would see in that courtroom to give victim impact statements other than Crystal Sorey. The father's
the foster parents.
Yeah, Forster. I'm looking forward to
Also, the news reporter that tried to adopt her.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Blair Miller and his husband Jonathan, they have Harmony's brother Jameson Montgomery. Thank you for bringing that up, Ed. I completely forgot. We may see that from them, but I think that you have to be designated as we heard, as a victim. And I think Blair Miller, although they tried, he's the DC reporter, as you said, Ed, they tried to get Harmony, but because of the judge's decision in Massachusetts, he was blocked out. And had he gotten custody, had him and his husband got custody of Harmony, we know she'd be alive and doing well today. Will 411 now, thank you for the $10 super chat. Welcome to the 20 gifted memberships that Ed and I so graciously gave out during the course of this live stream. Let me just go to some of the starred messages. There's some super chats that I want to get to, and there's a ton of them. Oh my goodness. Naomi, thank you for being a member for 16 months. She said, thank you, DutyRon and Ed, for your compassion and expertise in covering Harmony. May Harmony rest in peace. Amen. Amen to that. Yarn Barf Ed is here. She says she's a member for 19 months. Top-notch and quality program, DutyRon and Ed. Well, we thank you. Yep. Karen, Legal Minded Friends, who was on for an hour. She was not on for an hour, but I was on for an hour today earlier on a members-only live stream. Karen, thank you for joining me today. She sends in a super chat and says, thank you, DutyRon and Ed Wallace. Excellent coverage. She even spelled out your full name, Edward Wallace. That was very, very lawyerish of her and kind. So,
Edward William Wallace. Now, is she Canadian living in the UK?
Ed,
Karen, is that correct? Are you Canadian
Stop
living
breathing
in the
down
UK?
my neck.
Ed, stop breathing down my neck.
Stop breathing down my neck.
Part of my French, Ron, but you're an asshole. Okay.
Oh, hell no.
Because when I heard her speak, I was expecting more of a UK accent.
She's from Canada. So she's originally from Canada and she went to the UK. So I'll clear that up real quick. Montana Mama sends in a $5 super chat and she says, thanks you two for more amazing coverage of this important case. Well, Ed and I are very thankful that you're here and we thank you for your support and we're humbled. Wendy, thank you for the super chat. She sends in Canadian 549, a super sticker. Thank you for that. Hey, this is our good friend Jeff Litweiler. He's recovering in the hospital, kidney failure. He's on the mend. I think he's going home maybe tomorrow, maybe Monday. Jeff says, thank you, Ed and Ron and our family for your prayers. Let prayer for Harmony to be found. God can do this. Amen to that, brother. Amen.
Get well, Jeff.
Yeah. Your wife needs you home. She needs you to do that honeydew checklist. One DIY mama sends in a $5 super chat. She says, there is a whole other child case where the system failed. Same time as Harmony. 3-year-old Dennis Vaughn Jr., same district. That is heart-wrenching. And send me an email on dutyron.com. I'd like to know more about that case. I haven't heard about it. So thank you.
It's all over the country. It's systemic in this. We need a new law. Let's name it after Harmony, setting national standards and accountability for all of these child service welfare agencies.
Yeah. Amen for that. Robbie from Australia is throwing his wallet at us. He sends in more of his currency. A world that cannot protect its children is doomed. Well said. Yeah. And we have problems that we need to fix. We got major problems. Schmitty's throwing her wallet at us, her pocketbook. She says, I hope you get to talk to this man. Such bravery. Yeah, she was referring to when I was talking about calling the Manchester Police Department. I'm hoping. I'm going to do it on Monday. So Med 24/7 RN, thank you for becoming a member and thank you for your service. What else?
People. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. Our tax dollars are paying for these services, and they're failing us in our communities. You won't believe how powerful a simple letter could be to the right people.
Yeah.
And if enough of the community writes to these people, changes can occur.
Amen. Amen to that. You got to be loud. You got to scream from the rooftops. And the more we're stronger in numbers. So we do it and we write letters to the, Attorney General's office, to the governor's office, to whoever needs to have these letters, then that can fight for justice and for, change. Helen Story Carrasco says, pretty sure he took Harmony to a public incinerator out there. I mean, I don't know about that. It's right by the marsh. That's a difficult thing to do. Incinerators don't just take, bags from people randomly and say, yeah, we'll burn it for you. No problem. I'm not so sure. Maybe getting her to a landfill where they do incinerate garbage. Yeah, that's a possibility. Barely Old sends in some Canadian super sticker. Thank you so much for that. Schmitty says, thank you for sticking with this. Thank you, Schmitty. Appreciate it. And then I think this is it. Dawn Grammar 3, thank you for your super chat. Will 411 now. Edward William Wallace. Noted and written down, sir.
I am William Wallace, and I see before me an army of my countrymen here in defiance of tyranny. Okay.
Excellent. Ed Hokatube also sends in member 6 months. Justice for Timothy. Monday. Thank you. Holy crap. Thank God for our members and our subscribers. Monday is the sentencing of Paul Ferguson. Thank you for bringing me to this. Monday is the sentencing for Paul Ferguson. We are going to cover it live, aren't we, Ed? We're going to cover that live on Crime Time with DutyRon. I hope and pray that Judge Casel saw my email. I emailed his law clerk, Barbara, the video of the hot sauce, and I wanted him to look at the video of the hot sauce of the two gentlemen that reviewed Elijah's Extreme. And I sent that email, and she confirmed that she got it and said I gave it to him to look at for review.
That's awesome.
I think it's important, Ed, that this judge sees the impact of what they tortured together. Don't forget, Shonda and Paul, and I'm not saying that he doesn't have issues. He definitely has issues. She brainwashed him. She did this, she did that. But Shonda and Paul, as a tag team partnership, tortured and murdered Timothy Ferguson together. He's not charged with murder, but make no mistake, he helped to murder Timothy Ferguson. There's no argument. I will not even look at any other issues. The bottom line is they fed him that hot sauce when he was soaking wet. What, 35 pounds, 40, whatever poundage he was nothing. He was skin and bones. And they last day on July 5th, they fed him 4 pieces. And she said, make sure you pile it high and deep on those pieces of bread. That is just fucking, it just gets my blood boiling. But I hope he looked at that video because it'll give him a good idea of the torture that this poor kid, this child, 15-year-old kid, was forced to eat and ingest on a regular. And they poured it straight into his mouth. I'm sure he didn't say, oh, let me just put a little bit on a spoon. He took that bottle and poured it in the kid's mouth. And we saw what happened to those guys just taking a little bit on a teaspoon. All right, let me just calm down. Hold on a second.
All right, calm down. Should we change the subject for a little bit?
Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Ed. We want to change the subject.
When my oldest son Ian was a baby, and we were trying to feed him, and he was so difficult to feed when he was in the high chair. But when we played that song, he would stop, and we were able to feed him. And then later on in life, he'd become a cop and a detective. What you gonna do? Come for you. All right. But yeah, let's change it up a little bit. Like sometimes I give you little tips about food and things like pizza. Remember we talked about how you burn the roof of your mouth, right? I got a new one for you folks. I found a scam that's running around in our supermarkets that only started after the beginning of the what was it? Not the recession. What's the word I'm looking for? When all the food prices started going up. Okay, and it's in ice cream.
What?
Check the canister of the ice cream carefully. Check the carton of the ice cream carefully, because if it says ice cream, then it's 100% ice cream. But if it says frozen dairy dessert, that's not ice cream.
Don't buy it.
Okay? It's packaged in the same containers. All of the ice cream companies are doing it. Breyers, over here in the Northeast, we have what's that? Something Farm. I forgot the Friendlies. We have anyhow.
Ben and Jerry's.
There's a big difference between ice cream and what is called frozen dairy desserts. All right. It's not ice cream and it's not gelato. With ice cream is made with milk, predominantly milk. So in a frozen dairy dessert, it's made of air, whipped air, and vegetable oils.
Oh, that's
not
gross.
the milk, not the milk and the milk fat. And so it has a totally different texture. It's lighter than ice cream. And so you got to check that out when it says frozen dairy dessert versus ice cream. They're not the same thing. Okay. And by FDA, Food and Drug Administration law, they can't call the frozen dairy dessert ice cream. Okay. And so like they'll have real ice cream and they'll have the frozen dairy dessert canisters and they look identical, but if you got to look for the small print on the carton where it says whether it's ice cream or frozen dairy dessert. Now, the cartons are the same size, shape, but they're not the same weight because ice cream is heavier than the frozen dairy dessert because there's all that pumped air in it.
Ugh, that's gross.
And it's such a scam because you're thinking you're buying ice cream, but in reality, you're buying flavored frozen air made with vegetable oils.
Ugh, it's disgusting. I'm gonna have to start. I'm not a big ice cream eater, but I'm gonna have to now just start checking my the labels. And you said you got to look at the labels.
Yeah,
right?
I'll show you a picture. It's crazy. And I brought it to. I said something's funny about this. My wife bought it, and I said something is funny about this ice cream. And then I looked closely at it, and it says, "Holy shit, this is not ice cream." I
want to show this too while you're getting that picture. Our good friend and our Crime Time with DutyRon doctor, Ed Moskowitz, passed away on Thursday. And his wife Julia is always here in the chat. You see Dr. Ed Moskowitz in so many chats across the YouTube platform. He passed away, and he is going to be sorely missed by all of us. Ed,
yes, amen.
Yeah, amen. I want to just show a quick picture, if you don't mind, and we'll show yours, Ed. So there's our friend, Dr. Ed Moskowitz. Julie sent this picture, and she gave me permission to share it with you. So it's in loving memory of Dr. Ed Moskowitz, doctor, teacher, and friend. So may he rest in peace, and we send strength, prayers, and positive vibes, obviously, to Julie in loving memory of Dr. Edward J. Moskowitz. So please, friends, keep them in your hearts, in your prayers. She needs all the help that she can get with friendship and love. Let's give her support. Let's lift her up. And thank you guys for listening. Ed, I'm going to put you full screen for your picture of Turkey Hill.
If you look at the bottom there in white, it says frozen dairy dessert. But meanwhile, if you go up above,
you didn't get a new phone.
Not yet. I'm waiting on it. It says premium ice cream. So you got to be very careful because they come in the same flavors, but the frozen dairy dessert is, a lot of it is all artificial, as opposed to the premium ice cream, where most of it is milk and so forth.
Look at this. River says in Long Island, the supermarkets sell that fake ice cream.
That's right. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. So you think if you have somebody that's not attentive or looks at the fine print on these things, you open up the door to the refrigerator in the freezer in the supermarket, you pull out what you think is a gallon of ice cream, when in reality it's not even a gallon. But and if you're not looking close at it, it's not even ice cream.
That's disgusting. Well, Ed, you're always giving us some good info, and I appreciate you switching it up. Although we were covering a real serious topic, the search for Harmony Montgomery post-verdict and the reactions from Ed Wallace and myself. You successfully managed to change this up at the end, which is great, because we all need to realize, we talk about these tough cases. It's always good to have a story that's involving all of us to look out for. So this is just like a public service announcement to look out for this fake ice cream. It could be in Long Island. It could be in Massachusetts. It could be in California. You never know what you're going to get. Ed, what do you got?
So, Mrs. TJ, I got frozen dairy dessert once. It was gross. It is gross. I put it in the sink to melt so I could throw it away, throw the container away. 3 days later, it still hadn't melted. That's because it's not made with milk or ice cream. It's not really frozen. In fact, when I noticed that, when you have it in a bowl and it's ice cream, it melts and you get liquid down at the bottom of the bowl. This stuff sticks to the side walls of the bowl. And, if you don't get it to the sink because of all those oils, it hardens on the inside of the bowl. And it's crazy. And you take a scrubber to get it out of the bowl.
Look at Miss Ladybug. She says, we're all being ripped off. Not only are we being ripped off, we're being fed a bunch of real toxic shit, That's
because of our economy and what's happening in our economy. Eggs have skyrocketed, milk have skyrocketed, all of these things. So it impacts the ice cream. So a cheaper way, instead of using that, is to use the oils.
Hokatube 75. Ed will always be a detective, even when detecting ice cream. You got that right, young lady. You got that right. All right. Listen, let's wrap it up. We're here an hour and 32 minutes. Monday, the sentencing of Paul Ferguson. Let us know in the comment section what you think about Paul Ferguson and what his sentence should be. I really do value all of your opinions. I know that there's a lot of people that it's like a split. There's a lot of things swirling out there about Paul Ferguson and the possibility that he sexually assaulted Timothy in the past back in Oklahoma. There's not a lot of fanfare for Paul Ferguson, and I've never been a fan of his. I've always thought that he tag teamed with his mother at her direction and successfully murdered his brother. And he even said, I should have loved him more, but he didn't. It was clear and apparent that he did not love his brother, and he got joy out of torturing him, chasing him around, making him do wall sits, making him hold his hands up, making him take ice baths, making him take hot. So, I mean, I could keep going with this. Jennifer Nobles, thank you for gifting out the memberships. Welcome, everybody. Jennifer Nobles has been a platinum member. That's the highest tier. Listen, Ed, we only have 10 platinum members that pay the highest tier level every month to be members. And Jennifer Nobles right here is one of them. I want to highlight her if I can find her, but she gifted out 10 memberships. Unbelievable. There she is. Jennifer from Bakersfield, California. Thank you for the gifting out those memberships. We greatly appreciate it. So yeah, that's my take on Paul. I think I want to do a live stream tomorrow, sometime either during the day or at night about this, because I think the community has a lot to say about this. Let us know in the comments down below what you think Paul Ferguson's sentence should be. Should he get a slap on the wrist? Should he get 5 years? Should he get 10 years? Should he get 15? Should he get 25? Should he get life? Should he, and would you feel comfortable with him as a free person living next door to you, would you want him to be your home health aide if you were an elderly person? I say hell to the no on that. I don't want him ever to be around any children, any people who are vulnerable, or anyone for that matter. I would not trust him as far as I could throw him. So at the end of the day, I feel he's a danger to society because of his mental frame and how he thinks, his thought process. I don't have any sympathy whatsoever, because when I think about that, I think about Timothy Ferguson, and I can only imagine what he looked like when they took his dead, lifeless body and put it in that ambulance and carted him away. He looked like a Holocaust victim. So the bottom line is I have no sympathy. And listen, if I lose some subscribers because people don't agree with me or don't agree with what I'm saying, listen, agree to disagree with me. But at the end of the day, this is our channel together, and my opinion is my opinion, and it's not Bible. But the bottom line is I don't think Paul Ferguson deserves to be getting a slap on the wrist and just getting therapy and being held and coddled. He killed his brother. No matter how you slice it, tag team with him and Shonda, they successfully murdered him. End of story. All right, Ed, I know you got something to say at the end of all these things. Thank you for hanging with me tonight on Saturday. For me, it's my honor to hang out with Ed Wallace on a Saturday night. So thank you, Ed.
No, it's my honor. But I want to thank all you people for being with us. Your time is valuable, and you have other choices in life that you can make in terms of YouTube and true crime and so forth. And thank you for your subscriptions to our channel, and thank you for the growth. Just think about this. We grew 50,000 subscriptions since December 31st. Okay. It's amazing. It's amazing the exponential growth that we're having in our channel. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for spreading the word, and keep spreading the word to your friends and family about us. The more the merrier. And listen, always, folks, stay safe, stay prepared, and watch your six.
Thank you so much, Ed. And I want to send strength, prayers, and positive vibes to Julie Moskowitz, to Jeff Litweiler and his family, he's suffering in the hospital, kidney failure, and he's trying to fight to come back and be home. So I want to send strength, prayers, and positive vibes to them. As always, stand by for a really important message from our cop team. On behalf of Ed Wallace and Crime Time with DutyRon, we wish you guys a great rest of your weekend. Love and respect from our house to yours. Thank you and good night.